All right. Hello and welcome to episode 6 of my VCT Round-Up series, where today we're going to talk about the EMEA games that's happened in this past these past couple days. We're going to talk about lower round 1, these 4 games, and we're going to talk about Americas, where we've also had the lower round 1 happening. Um, and yeah, that's the games we're going to talk about. So why don't we start? So we're gonna start with EMEA, and we're gonna go through every single one of the 4 games, and then we're gonna do Americas. All right, let's go. Starting off, we have Giant X versus KC, which to me was an upset. Some people did not, but Giant X looked really fucking good, man. I mean, I still have this team in terms of power rankings below KC, but I could see this team actually improving quite a lot as they do have a pretty easy bracket going forward as they're going to play Team Liquid. So they're going to play Team Liquid and then one of either Team Vitality, Foot, BBL, or Team Heretics. And I'm pretty sure. Um, I don't know which team they're going to play if they win this game. Either way, they have actually a pretty simple bracket here. It's not that it's not that bad. It's actually not that bad. I mean, playing Team Liquid here and then playing the losers of Team Heretics, BBL, Foot, Vitality. I mean, either you get most likely, if I were to guess and predict, it's either going to be BBL or Foot. Which, sure, look, these are the 4 top teams in EMEA right now. Like Fnatic are not like particularly good, and I would consider these the 4 top teams, which is going to make it more difficult here. But considering that's basically as good as you're going to get if you get top 6, like if you're going to get top 6, you're going to inevitably play one of the top 4 teams in EMEA. That's just how it is. Either way, I think they looked really good against KC. I genuinely think this team. I knew this team was going to be good in the first place. Like I put this team pretty highly. I'm pretty sure to begin with. Like not super highly. Okay, an 8. Yeah, an 80, which wasn't the highest, but it wasn't the lowest either. I was thinking this team could be like a big upsetter in a lot of games. Because I think this roster genuinely looks pretty good. Um, but then after the first game losing to BBL, I was like, eh. But then it turned out that BBL was just straight up really good. Like they obviously beat Fnatic, which is my team, so maybe I'm a bit biased here, but I just think straight up BBL looked really good in the first 2 games. And considering Giant X then went on to beat KC, which, well, this KC roster, I mean, the games they've played, they beat Navi and then lost in a close game to a super team. Like they barely lost against Vitality. Like look at this. Sure, first map, masterclass from Team Vitality. Like masterclass in this Haven, but man, it was so goddamn close. It was so goddamn close by the end. And I mean, sure, yes, I know that KC is worse than Team Vitality. Like, I know that for a fact. Like, if you looked at that first map, like, everybody knows that Team Vitality is better than KC. But, I had pretty high expectations from KC after that game. And GX looked really good. Like, genuinely. Sure, KC did not look amazing, but Giants looked really good. So they got a +8. KC got a -8. And still Giant X is below KC. But that was mostly just because I really downgraded them quite a lot after losing to BBL. Now BBL turned out to be a top 4 team in the EMEA, so oh well. But I feel like I kind of redeemed it with this game. Um, so yeah. Moving on to Fnatic versus Navi. Man, Fnatic is looking rough, man. Like I knew the Navi roster was gonna be bad, or I didn't know they were gonna be bad, but I have a gut feeling that this Navi roster was gonna be bad. Like I've never thought Angel is particularly good. I've always said that Angel has always been the problem on his team, no matter what. And I just thought Koala Noob is mediocre as fuck. Hero is really good, and Rockstick is looking solid, and we know Shao is pretty good. But like, it's an Angel roster with a mediocre duelist. Like, you can't really say that this team is gonna be good. Like, genuinely, I did not see this team being good. Then Fnatic won their map, Navi's map pick 13-9. Then they went on to lose Fracture in a pretty terrible fashion. Like, this game was straight up just bad from Fnatic. Like, genuinely. Sure, Boaster didn't look particularly good, but especially, I just feel like Alpha could not adapt this game. Um, Chronicles Breach is still amazing. I mean, Kayak had an insane series. But yeah, Alpha Years, Breach, Chamber just did not perform as well as we'd hoped. I mean, he just could not find any sort of spots. Like, Navi caught him out all the time and he could not adapt. Which ended up this Fracture just kind of being a stomp. Sure, Fnatic had a pretty decent first half, but just could not attack whatsoever. Then Haven, they went back to this comp, which I really liked, and Kayak looked really good on the Euro. But man, how was this game this close? Like, how do they get a four? How do how do Fnatic get 4 attack rounds? Like, genuinely, how could neither of these teams just attack on Haven, a 3-side map? Like, this. Oh my god, it frustrated me so much to watch this Fnatic game. And yeah, they just did not look good. I currently have Fnatic at a similar level to KC. I think both of these teams are still okay, but Fnatic are just not looking good enough right now. I still think they're going to win in their game against Gentlemates. I think it's a pretty nice draw for them. I think Gentlemates, they're a pretty decent team, but Fnatic should beat them. Like, genuinely, Fnatic should just beat them. Like, this Gentlemates team just barely, like, sure, okay, not barely, but like, they lost the map to Koi, one of the worst teams in EMEA. And then before that, sure, they fought pretty well, actually. They looked pretty good against Team Heretics. But at the same time, sure, they looked good in the first map. But it just felt like this first map was just Gentlemate's map pick and them coming out to fight, and then Team Heretics being like, oh shit, wait, the season has started. And then winning 13-3, 13-8. Like, it wasn't really that close by the end of it. But I mean, they did 2-0 Apex, but also Apex is the worst team in the region. Like, they played 2 of the worst teams in the entire region, if not the 2 worst teams in the entire region. And both of them have kind of been able to almost get a map on them. But sure, they have looked good some games. But I do think Fnatic should win that game. I do think Navi is still genuinely not good whatsoever. I'm putting them 10th right now. Honestly, they could be like 8th, but I don't think higher than that is gonna happen. I don't think it's gonna be possible. But also, by the way, just even though Fnatic won, they got a -6 here because I think they just look not good enough. Like, to be completely honest, Navi probably should have won this game. Like, Navi probably should have won this game. Sure, Pearl didn't look particularly good, especially that defensive side. But I mean, winning this Fracture this dominantly and then losing a 11-5 lead to lose on overtime is. Navi should have won that game. And while I do think that Fnatic, if they just clean some stuff up, they look really good. I have my doubts, man. I have my doubts. This Fnatic roster is looking rough. Moving on to Team Liquid versus Apex, and Apex actually looks pretty good. I put both of the teams down because I do think Apex is still the worst team in the region. But they won a map. They did win a map. Team Liquid did kind of beat their asses on the other two, and Kiko still looks fucking insane. Maybe it's just because he plays against pretty bad rosters. Like he's played against the two worst teams in the region, and then they lost 2-0 to Foot, and he looked mid at best. But this game was pretty much just a stomp. I mean, Floor looked insane. I mean, first map, this team just fucking stomped Apex. Like, they had such good, like, Mulsey's utility was so good this map, and Floor looked really solid, but, like, getting a 6-6 attack half on Abyss just is not good enough. And then nobody could attack on Pearl, which was interesting. I mean, Apex still looked better on the attack half, but I mean, this defense half from Apex, 20-6 on Batu. Man, did Batu look good that first half. And then the second half, he went 7-10 and did pretty poorly. But I mean, still, that's just ridiculous. Apex managed to win this. Honestly, like, at this point, I feel like Team Liquid should probably win this map, because they went from a 3-11 to an 11 to a 12-11 lead, and then, or to an 11-12, and then did not manage to take it to OT. I don't. It was rough. But yeah, then Haven was it was not close. It was not close. Like getting 9 on defense of Haven is ridiculous. And yeah, it ended up in a pretty big win from Team Liquid, but I feel like that was pretty expected. So yeah, moving on to Gentle Knights versus Koi. I mean, I expected Gentle Knights to win this. Sure, the map which they lost against Koi looked pretty bad. Like, genuinely just looked pretty bad. Like, Lotus was... I mean, Mini looks insane. Like, Mini is genuinely looking like one of the best players in all of EMEA. Like, this guy is ridiculously good. Like, Mini is fucking insane. Like, every single map they've played, he has been, like, a reason to watch this team. Like, Mini is fucking redonkulous, man. Like, this guy, how they're playing him on a breach is beyond me, man. It's beyond me. How they played this guy on breach, or maybe wait, not breach, but yeah, they're playing this guy on Senti. Like, I look, okay. He actually did breach here, yeah. On the Senti is a fragging role, yes, but he looked like his Yoru was insanely good. Like, his Yoru was really good. Oh, maybe not insanely good, but it was really good, and his aim is insane. Yeah, I really like Mini. But yeah, that middle map, I don't think it matters too much. I mean, they got down 9-3 on attack, and then it was just like they couldn't really bring it back. But you know, I don't know. I don't know what I was gonna say. The other two maps were literally stomps. So I mean, that Lotus probably needed some work, but Koi got stomped on. That's just how it is. Koi is the second worst team in the region. I don't think it's particularly close. But yeah, moving on. Now we have Americas, and holy shit, we have some games to talk about. I wouldn't say there's any big upsets, but we got a team that is genuinely looking like the worst team in the entire, like, they're looking like the worst team out of any region except China, because China has all gamers. But you know, yeah. But that's not what we're gonna start talking about. We're gonna start talking about EG versus Furia, and Furia is the second worst team in this region, and I don't think it's close. I think the Furia and the other team we're gonna talk about later, 2G, are like genuinely. If we once again forget about China, Probably the two worst teams in, except for Apex. Like this, it's like the rest of this region is so good that to have two bottom teams like Furia and 2G is just embarrassing. Like the rest of this region is so strong, but they just have two teams that just bring the region down so hard. And sure, EG won 13-7, 13-7. It was not particularly close. But I do think also that, you know, they still put up somewhat of a fight on each map. Like it wasn't a complete stomp, but like this Furia team is not looking good. Like they're just not looking good whatsoever. Like IC is genuinely looking solid on this EG roster, and I mean we knew Derek is good. We know Ye is a shooter. Nature actually had a really good game, which is surprising because it's Nature, and well, if you watched Nature last year, he was not very good. Anyways, yeah, there's not much to talk about that game. It was just EG just was the better team straight up. Moving on, C9 MIBR, and well, I feel like this kind of solidified my opinion that NRG would beat C9 if they play them again, as C9 now lose. Obviously, they lost to G2, but that was pretty obvious that was going to happen. But then MIBR, after losing the first map, just kind of. They didn't look like they broke a sweat. First map ended up in a 13-7 on Lotus. Even as MIBR just could not attack on that map. Their defense looks really solid, but attack, no. There was nothing there. Abyss, it showed it was an attacker sided map. Let's say that. MIBR got 10 on their attack half. Then I mean, yeah, they got like 7 rounds in a row to make it 9-10, but then MIBR kind of finally came to their senses and won 13-10. It was not really that close. It was just them kind of throwing for a bit. Them Pearl, I mean, yeah, here they showed them that they're just a better team and won 13-7. So yeah, a pretty straightforward game. C9 first map on Lotus was their map pick, and remember can attack. They probably would have won 2-0 if that wasn't the case. So yeah. Moving on, we have Crew 2G, and oh my fucking god. Like, I know 2G was gonna be bad after losing to a Furia roster that was playing in tier 2 and getting stomped by them. But holy fuck. They're playing a team that's supposed to be pretty good, sure. But like I genuinely feel bad. Like they're so terrible. Like what the fuck? 13-3 on their own map pick. And then 13-2. Yeah. Crew got 10 on attack on split. Yeah. It was 2G are just not good, man. 2G are oh my god, man. I don't know what to say. I'm genuinely speechless. Sure. It's not on all gamers, they might even be worse than all gamers, but honestly, it's just because it's China. I can't really say they are. I mean, sure, all gamers got a map against XLG, which is a pretty good team, but I mean, they just got stomped after that and got a total of 5 rounds. Kind of similar to how, and I would say XLG is like on a similar level to Crew, and all gamers just got about as stomped as they did. And then first map they ever played, all gamers played against Nova, which was not a very good team, and they got fucking stomped again. So yeah, I would say they look pretty similar actually. Like 2G and AG kind of remind me. is kind of reminding of each other, because like 2G started off playing a pretty bad team in Americas, got stomped, fuck. And then they played a pretty good teams in Americas and got stomped. Kind of the same with All Gamers, as I said. They started off by playing a pretty terrible roster as is, or a pretty bad roster as is, and they got stomped, and then they played an even better roster and got even more stomped. So yeah, both teams are terrible, and 2G is the worst team in Americas and the worst team except for All Gamers. It's just how it is, straight up. Moving on, NRG 100 Thieves. NRG should have 2-0 this. I mean, NRG looked a lot better. Although, I mean, we all know that 100 Thieves were a good team, but like this first map, they should 2-0. Like, sure, they were down 9-12, and 100 Thieves got 6-6 on defense and Lotus, but when coming back from a 7-11 scoreline to make it 12-12, you should win an OT. But they just didn't. Just straight up didn't. So yeah. But yeah, the next two maps, NRG looks pretty comfy, just winning 39-39. It wasn't particularly close. Verno actually looked good, finally. Mada, I mean, yeah, he's looking insane. Mada, I was not as high on Mada as I was on Verno, but as you see here, I actually put NRG, I put Mada at a 7, Verno at a 9. But yeah, Mada looked insane. Mada's looking a lot better than I ever thought he would. I mean, I know he was the best duelist in all of Americas tier 2 last year, but I don't know. I just think Verno as a player is just ridiculously good. And I feel like he showed that in that game, although Mada just dropped 70 on C9, so I don't know. Either way, a pretty straightforward game, I think. NRG looked, I would say NRG probably looked similar. Like, I would say NRG didn't look much better. It was more C9 looking worse than I thought they did. Which is why NRG is not particularly much improved from this, but 100 Thieves is lowered. I do think that top 4 in Americas right now is G2, Sen, and RG Lev. I do think there are potential for teams like Loud and MIBR to get up there. Maybe even Crew if they have a bit of a run. But yeah, overall, a pretty decent game. NRG should probably have won that in 2, but it is what it is. They lost that map. It was close in the first map, and then they kind of was in control of the next 2. It wasn't, yeah, that's about it. Yeah, I don't know what more to say, really. So yeah, the games have actually been really fun so far. I actually really enjoyed these games, and it's kind of sad that we're getting like a week's break from both of these regions. Lucky for us, though, after that point, we're getting like 6 more games, and then there's another week's break. But still, I mean, with Americans, it's even worse though, because it's like you get 1, 2, 3, 4. No, it's actually just the same, 6 games, and then another week's break, or it's 5 days, but still. Yeah. Either way, I hope you enjoyed this video. And currently, by the way, there's an APAC game going on. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.